up just spending an awful lot of time weeding out the right kind of clients from the wrong kind of clients. So eventually we started to produce content that allowed us to protect ourselves. And that's where the idea of a content fortress comes in.
Hey, everyone, welcome to another episode of Win the Hour, Win the Day podcast. I am your host, Chris Ward. And today in the house, we have Martin Huntbach. Martin is a content strategist, and he is going to change the game for us today. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited.
Okay, Martin, we're all about big results, no fluff here. So let's dive into it because you know what? As I said to you when we met, I'm like, okay, let's talk about repurposing content, Martin, and all this other stuff, but we've heard it before. What are you going to bring different to the game? So you talked to us about building a fortress, a content fortress. So I might be fumbling that. So why don't we just start with there? What do you mean by that? And why do we need it?
Yeah. So the really interesting thing is that content marketing and content design, and everyone's talking about content and have been for a while, and sometimes we get caught up in these kind of buzzwords, and I think content marketing is definitely one of those words. And we use content marketing to grow our business, and we produce loads of content, and it delivered loads of traffic and stuff like that, and it works. It delivers more traffic and more leads and more sales. It does work. However, with the concept of content fortress is slightly different. So content marketing is about leads and sales and about creating content and attracting your audience, which is great, but you don't really have the opportunity to decide the kind of clients you want to work with, and if you can use content to drive more leads and sales, could you use it to try and attract a particular type of person? We all speak about buyer personas and things like that, and who's your ideal customer, but actually there's no one out there really talking about combining those two things. It's all about help, and then hopefully you'll get customers on the back end. And we actually got to a point within our agency where we were working with loads of people because our content was delivering leads and sales. But most of the people that were coming to us weren't our ideal customers. Maybe they didn't have the budget. Maybe they didn't have the right mentality. And we ended up just spending an awful lot of time weeding out the right kind of clients from the wrong kind of clients. So eventually we started to produce content that allowed us to protect ourselves. And that's where the idea of a content fortress comes in. Create content to get leads and sales. That's one thing. But actually, if you could create content that decides that when someone lands on your website, they consume some of your content, they're able to kind of like self-identify if you're the kind of business for them. And
so let me jump in there just for a second. So in our case, we help entrepreneurs stop working so hard. And we do that through team time and super toolkits. We don't work with brand new businesses for a number of reasons. So if I'm saying, all right, I need to be attracting the right type of client, is that where we write articles or do blogs or posts about the people we don't want to work with? How do we divide that?
Yeah. So there's a few ways to do it. We call it repelling content, and that's one of the 8 pillars within the content fortress. And repelling content is the kind of content that says, if you are not this, then we're probably not right for you. So the exact example that you asked about is the exact piece of content we personally have created that says, like why new businesses? When we were building websites for clients, we actually had that same problem. We had a lot of new business owners coming to us, and it wasn't the right time because our prices were quite high in comparison to what they were expecting. There's a lot of risk involved, and we just decided categorically we didn't want to work with brand new business owners. So we published a piece of content that literally said why new business owners shouldn't pay thousands for a brand new website. And we'd send it to anyone that got in touch with us within a copy and paste and say, oh, thanks so much for getting in touch. It sounds like a great venture. Here's a piece of content that explains why we don't think you as a brand new business owner should hire an agency like us, because there's a lot of risk involved. Big business can change quite a lot. So that's one way that you can do it. You can
so let me unpack that if I can. Okay. So first of all, comes to mind a couple of questions. One is, if they're just reaching out to you, how do you know? Maybe that's your pre-qualifying stage. So you're sending them an article about why you don't work with new business, essentially. But how did you know that? Like through the email? Did you ask them that? Like, oh, tell us a little bit about you, and then you respond with that article?
Yeah. So one of the common I suppose the questions that people ask, they get in touch sometimes and they send an email and they say, we absolutely love your brand. Your content's really helpful. It's really, really amazing. And we'd love to work with you. And then they actually divulge, some of that information. So oh, I'm just starting a brand new business and I'm wondering if it's what package should I go for? What should we do? How can we work together? And then that's when we say, we'd love to have a call with you, but might want to check out this article first of all. So actually, when people are out there requesting calls from service providers, far too often service providers are so excited about getting on a call with someone and the having access to, talking to them and potentially selling them, that they jump on a call before they actually pre-qualify. And so we actually take a step back and say, it's great that you want to chat with us. Here's what I want you to do. First of all, I'm going to send you a couple of links to a couple of articles. One of them is, our pricing structure and how that works. And another one might be, but it all depends on what they say in their emails. We might have someone say, I'm a brand new business. We might have other people saying, for instance, and this is why the Content Fortress is so important, because every customer that gets in touch is so different. So if somebody gets in touch and says, hi, I have a budget of £100 and I want to work with you, you need a piece of content to protect your business from that. You don't want to get into a debate about why they need to spend more.
Okay, hold on. So I think I'm getting it. So the fortress is really to protect your time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So in my case, and I don't know what the answer would be, do I think somebody could use my services right from the beginning? Probably. But what we work best with is, first of all, when you're a new business, you have this idea. And I know I did. Once I get past this next thing, and once I get the website up, and all these things that you have to get in play, and then you think everything will fall in and everything's going to be golden. And that doesn't happen because you don't have the infrastructure going from one client to 2 to 5. You think, well, once I get caught up, right? Well, now I've lost some business and now I got to bring on more business, and you're just chasing your tail. Yeah. So I tend to work with people who have been in business at least 5 years, usually 10, because they now realize that once they get past this is not going anywhere. And they've been in business 10 years, that they're the common denominator. There's a bigger problem, and that's the lack of infrastructure and the things that they don't set up properly. Right. So I don't know how I would put that in a blog, pretty much, because you can't say, yeah, it's just, you're not going to get me. You're new in business. I guess I could write it something like that. I don't know. Anyways.
What you know is that we've written an article before that says 7 reasons you shouldn't work with us. And you'd essentially just list those things. You're not at the stage in your business. One of our coaching clients has just literally sent us an article that she's written. She's a Facebook ads expert, and she just decided to put all of the reasons that you shouldn't work with her into an article. And you could do this in video. It's not just content. You could do it in a TikTok if you wanted to. You could do it on a podcast. If you just simply got a pen and paper and wrote down the main 6, 7, 10 reasons that somebody might not be your ideal customer, and then send it to people. Sometimes people say to you, I'm not sure if it's the right time for me yet. What do you think? We've all had those conversations with clients. Therefore, you now have a piece of content, some intellectual property out there online that you can literally send to people to say, here you go, make the decision for yourself.
Okay, I know we're at step 1, and I keep stopping you because I'm intrigued and I have all these questions, and this is what we do. But I think what I'm seeing is this protects you, which I'm don't liberally give away time on my calendar, but this protects you from getting seduced and excited about, oh yes, this is a prospect. So it protects you from wasting your time on that. And then when we're all about efficiency here at Win the Hour, Win the Day, then you have this content that has been well thought out, whether it's a video, whether it's written, and you can say, look, then I'm not sitting there after you wasted my time in the calendar trying to explain this to you. So you're right, the fortress to protect you, your time, and your business. Okay, I'm getting it. Look, I catch on. All right, let's move forward. Okay, so number 1 is repel. What else do we do?
Yeah, so probably won't have time to go through them all, but I'll give you the sort of pillars. So repelling content is one of them. There's also another side which is attracting content. So you can create content that allows you to attract people who may never have thought about hiring you in the first place, who deep down that you really, really want to work with. So we see this quite a lot when people go from working with one-to-one clients, and then they maybe want to transition into corporate clients. You can use content and create content in order to make that happen, just by creating content about why we don't just do this and what other services do we offer. One of the problems I see with content is that people are constantly just trying to drive traffic. They're just creating helpful content. But actually, we found the best performing content is content that helps you communicate what you do and who you serve in a way that you can control. So if you want to create content, if you want to start working with a particular segment, then you could create content that said, did you know, we actually serve these people as well. You can create case studies about those people. So attracting content is equally as important, especially because so it does work. You've also got
okay, so let me pause there for a second, because I think what you're doing is, this is pretty deep stuff. I'm really liking it. We tend to, I do anyhow. You get into this formula situation where you're like, okay, I got to write content. So here's why you need an infrastructure. Here's why you need systems process. Here's why you need your super toolkit. And you think once you get caught up or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm leaning into the problem more than I'd like to, right? Or I can talk about, listen, why you need to start your win team. And it's very different than a VA, but I'm still leaning into the problem, whereas I could be talking about the type of clients we work with. I could write a little story about, we work with businesses that have been in business these 5+ years, tend to be service-based, and you guys do really well, but now you want to move on to the next level. You want to go from one to many. And how do you do that when you're trapped in your own business? And then do little case studies. So it's almost like, we've been so pushed to, what's the problem you solve? But now we could tell stories and make, our clients the characters in that. And that would be valuable content for attraction.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the examples we used in the book, Content Fortress, was again, one of our students, one of our coaching clients is a martial arts school here in the UK. Now, everyone would assume that anyone who wants to join a martial arts school want to join a martial arts school because they want to be like the people in UFC, or they want to be, win the belts. But actually, this martial arts school, Aidan and Yasmin, they realized that a lot of people that were signing up to be part of their school were people that were being bullied, and girls as well as boys. So they started to talk about bullying a lot more when none of the other martial arts schools in their town, or even probably this country, are talking about bullying and how to deal with bullying in a way that doesn't involve violence. Now, for a martial arts school to say, we will help you solve your personal problems without violence it's so far away from what kind of content you think that martial arts school would create, that they're naturally going to attract more people that want to solve those problems using their head versus their hands. So they use content and case studies in order to make that happen. And then all of their content becomes family friendly rather than here's how to throw the perfect kick or whatever, like a lot of martial arts school might do. They're solving their problem by, thinking smart. And that's
that's okay. So the stuff is there. So now it's making me realize, that I could be talking to them in a different vein. Cause I feel I get trapped in the presenting instead of talking to, and the blasting of here's the problem and, whatever. But if we can come at it from a softer storytelling, different angle, it's just a whole more refreshing look. And then also what's out there instead of like sales, blah, blah, let me tell you, we solve your problems, right? Okay. Profound stuff here. It's very subtle, but profound. Okay. Continue, my wise friend.
Yeah. So then we have the next two are kind of linked: pricing content and sales content. So one of the things, like I said, that people focus on is creating really helpful content. But at some point, people genuinely do care about what services you offer and how much you charge. So you can create pricing content. What we do is we create pricing content about all of our services. We never have a service on our website that we don't have a price for. This scares people because they're like, well, it's bespoke. And we're like, no, like there are people out there that want to know how much you charge for particular services. So therefore we advise people to create content about it. If for instance, for us, in the past, we've built websites. So we created content. How much does it cost for a website? And you actually talk about that openly, not just for you, but how much they might expect to pay, how much it might cost for a interior decorator, if that's what you do, how much.
Okay. Let me jump in here again, because this is wise stuff. So when you're first talking, I was like, okay, my pushback is, many years ago, I read this book and like, the first thing you want to do to drive down business is put your pricing up online, right? Because it can't sell itself and they don't understand what's involved in anything, like the value of it, like whatever. So how many times did we go to get a price on something like, oh, I thought this would, well, right now I'm getting some work done in my basement. Yep. And then we had to go for a second thing of lumber. And I said to my uncle, hello, they say money doesn't grow on trees. Neither does wood, because this is expensive, right? So I didn't get that wood and dirt is really expensive. But anyhow, so I think what you're saying is, in my case, a lot of my clients have come to me and they have in the past now it's a new thing. You can go to an agency to get a VA. And the problem with that is they can give you, it's almost like giving somebody a chef. Like I could send a highly trained chef to your house and they may be really skilled, but if you've got kids that only want chicken nuggets, it doesn't matter how good that chef is, it's the wrong place. So my thing is, well, that's great. They send you a VA, you've locked into this 3-month contract. It's very expensive because you don't know how to hire and onboard yourself. They do that for you. Very pricey. You're locked into it, but the systems aren't set up there. So it's not going to last and it never does. And then you get burnt out and think, well, I can't even do a VA. So I deal with a lot of the fallout on that. So I could write an article on the costs of hiring from an agency without even, if I didn't want to address working with me, because there's different entry points of working with me. So I could talk about that cost if I don't want to talk about my own cost.
Yeah, you can talk about any cost related topic that you want to that's relevant to your audience.
Okay. Right.
And not to mention that there are countless of examples of, one of our close friends, they build sheds and garden houses and she uses timber and she's always talking about price. But the reality is, and this is the one thing that I think really makes people realize that you should be talking about price on your website, which is, if I was on a call with you, I don't care if you're an accountant, a financial advisor, an interior decorator, it really doesn't matter. If I was on a half an hour call and I said to you, what are all of the things that make the price go higher versus lower? Like, within your service, within your package, within your industry, how much would it cost? And sometimes people say, well, I need to know more about your business and I need to know more about this and what we need to deliver. But you can generally always give people a guide price. You don't have to say this is the exact price. You can say, usually people, you can say from £3,000 for my coaching program. You can say people usually spend between £3,000 and £5,000. You can also say an average cost is £4,000, but it really depends on what you want. So it's about people giving people an indication so that people can self-serve, because the last thing you want is somebody that's only got a £1,000 budget getting in touch with you. So there's so many ways around the pricing debate that will protect you as long as you're producing some content and you're giving people indications. It really, really will save you a lot of time. And we can pretty much guarantee every single sales call we go on, they've seen our prices. We've made them see our prices before we book on a sales call or an indication of them. And we pretty much know that 90% of the proposals we're going to send are going to go to business because we have this infrastructure in place. We don't speak to them unless they've seen our prices. We don't speak to them unless they've consumed some of our content. It just means that we speak to fewer and fewer people, but we've been able to work with better clients, charge more, get better relationships, and we're just not chasing for sales anymore. We never have to worry about where the next sale is coming from because we have the structure in place. Now, the mistake that a lot of people make is they say they have a very thin website. They don't have much content about the process and about the price and about the service itself. And they just say, get in touch to find out more. And then you're in this kind of cycle of just call after call on the call in the hopes that someone's going to sign up. And it's just the way that we used to do it. And that's why we had to fix it.
Yeah. And again, you're giving me, I'm just making notes. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but I'm making notes because we do. I don't know if it's just me, but you get stuck on, you see this one thing and then you sort of redo it, repurpose it. And you hear a lot about repurposing content, but even like, yeah, I could write an article about the process. Like, when you start working with us, this is what we do. And we do this discovery part. And then we figure out all the places that water's leading out of the boat or leaking out of the boat. And, the finding that your VA for you, but then helping you to hire, train, and onboard them and do all this stuff. So there is a magical journey that people always ask me, well, how do you do it? And I yet have to write anything about that because I'm always writing about, this stuff where, listen, and when you're working at 8 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night, and you think, well, once I get past this thing, you'll be fine. You won't, you'll be doing that this time next year, but that's still problem. It's boring to talk about. And I feel boring to listen to. Like, then I'm just this person blasting you all the time.
Well, you have to think to yourself, if we really, really, really thought about, rather than algorithms and constantly producing content that we think people are going to like in terms of traffic and leads, if we actually thought about the deep-rooted things that people need before they make a buying decision, you would entirely rethink your content strategy. You would think, okay, what are all of the questions that anybody's asked me on my website, or when they've got in touch with me? A good friend of mine, Marcus Sheridan, who actually wrote the foreword for our book, he's got a book called They Ask You Answer. And he did this. She teaches
Oh,
about.
yes, I love that book. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. That did change
Yes.
sorry, I jumped in there. That was
Yeah.
one of those books where I read it on a Sunday and I was waiting for my team to come up. Okay, everybody on Monday, listen, like this is what we're
Exactly.
doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
hold on now. I had a powerful thought. I think we get also trained by, this whole asking the answer and everything is like, well, people are searching for that problem in Google. We keep hearing that over and over again. So you want to be the answer to that question, like how to avoid burnout. Okay, well, it's not about you being, in my case, a lot of people think they need to be more disciplined, more organized. That's not it, because you just reorganize yourself. That doesn't change the infrastructure, right? So then people say, oh, I'm not organized, you won't be able to work with me. No, you're going to be easier than the organized person. But I've been so trained that when somebody's standing at the desk keying in how to avoid burnout, I had to be the answer to that. But then your other things you're listing here is like, our process and all that stuff is far more interesting. But am I going to be the answer to their question when they're doing that search? I guess if I laden it with the correct keywords.
I think that's the important thing to remember. Now, we love SEO. What we do is
Yeah.
SEO. We drive traffic through content. However, on this particular occasion, what I'm saying is if you want to really, really educate your buyers, forget about the algorithms, forget about SEO for a second. If you could
Right.
create every single piece of content that for every question that a prospect has asked you, like, okay, so what
Okay.
happens after I hand over my cash? What's the next step? What do we do to go live? What do we do to, make this a success? What could we do?
Okay.
So it's about managing the process, the sales process through your content as well. So as an example,
Right.
we
Okay,
created.
hold on. That's really deep. I want to hear your example. But what you're saying is, listen, you're just stopping when you get to one door. Walk through that door. We've got other things to talk about. That is not even the beginning of the journey. It's the sales journey. So we all got stuck on that SEO, be the problem and the solution.
Exactly.
And that's it. We're like I'm a one-trick pony. And I'm just singing the same song. But you're right. Then there is more to that. There's that whole sales journey. Oh, very deep stuff here. Okay, excellent. I got it. My apologies. Your example?
Yeah. So the example on that scenario would be we created an article which is the 31-step process to how we build your website. And again, we don't build websites anymore, but this is such a good example. This is a case of when you hand over your cash, when we start the process, then we do this, then we do that, and then we move on. And you can actually use content throughout your buying cycle. So after somebody's handed over the cash, like for instance, let's just take a website as an example. You have content that helps people enjoy the experience with you. So when they get started, if you need something like what photographs should go on your website, great, I've got a piece of content for that. I'm going to send you that. So you're onboarding that client using content every step of the journey. You make them feel, comfortable. A lot of people, they do have buyer's remorse and they do buy something and they sign up to a program and they're like, I've not really had any communication. Even if you're doing things on the side or in the background, that content can act as really good communication and getting people from A to Z.
You know what? I'm just having like my brain is exploding with ideas. Okay. So for me, listen, I think everything done well comes down to business. And I remember many years ago buying a book off Amazon. Like, hello, I sound like a dinosaur. I actually bought a book off Amazon. They shipped it to me. This is back when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. Okay. And I remember thinking how they're shipping me this book. I'm going to get it in 3 days. And they had all these touch points with me to keep me emotionally engaged on a $20 book. And so I thought, wow. So I then started making videos that were like 2-minute videos with my clients in their journey, even after they were onboarded with us, so that they felt like, okay, great. I'm getting these videos. This is what she's working on now. This is what she's working on now. Then we really went to a much more different coaching style. We got the winner circle and different coaching things. So now we have this academy where they can log in and get their videos and transcripts and everything from the training and some other micro trainings, but they have to go there. And somewhere along the way, I have dropped so I think what you're saying is, keeping them engaged by content, keeping them feeling that there's value. And I'm always thinking of them, because when I was sending these little videos out, people would talk to me as if we were on the phone. They said, remember the other day, Chris, you said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I did that in a video and everybody gets it. Right. So I dropped that somewhere along the line, and I should really be, even though the people come to me, they're overworked, even if they don't read it or they don't watch the 2-minute video, there's quality and stuff. And it looks like I'm thinking of them and I'm giving them value, and extra things should be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, that's one element. It's about,
Yeah.
providing content to help them get through and feel comfortable with the fact that you're delivering, this, even though it's an automated sequence, if it's the same for everyone, they feel completely happy with that. And that 2-minute video could be turned into a blog post. It could be turned into a podcast, turned into any number of pieces of content. As long as you have a customer focused approach to this, rather than an algorithm approach, which sounds so crazy because I'm an SEO guy. I always have been. We literally offer SEO as a service, but on this occasion, I'm telling you, when it comes to protecting your time and your energy and your effort, if you only focus on SEO, you're just going to get everyone and their dog to visit your website and get in touch with you. And then you become a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of leads that you're getting coming through. That's exactly what happened to me. And that's why I needed to create specific content to protect myself and our business. And that's why it's so important to think about these individual pillars.
And so very interesting. Okay. We've just got a couple minutes left. Time flies with you, my friend. Okay, Martin, what's the final thing we need to know?
So I think, there's obviously, we spoke about repelling content, attracting content, price, sales content is really, really important. So this is something else. We do have another few pillars as well, including process content, which we spoke about a little, but sales content is something that we produce a lot of. And again, we touched on this before, where somebody has questions about your products and services. And sometimes we like to get those people on calls. Why do you not have a blog post that says everything I need to know about my service? Whatever service it is. Every single service that we launch, we create a blog post that details everything that's included. It goes on our blog. When someone gets in touch with us and they say, oh, I'm really interested in this, but does it include this? Does it not? We actually put all of the features, all of the benefits into a blog post that we can actually send to people so that they can self-serve, they can educate themselves. Now, we've done this to the point where we actually now don't speak to anyone before they buy from us. So what I mean by that is we have a service where we write content for clients and we optimize it for search engines. It's a big package. It's a few £1,000s a month. People buy from us now without ever needing to speak to us first. Now, people think, oh, if it's £100, I could have had a buy now button to my website. But actually, we found that people don't want to speak to people. They just want results. They want to pay someone money. And it doesn't matter whether it's 100, 500 or a few £1,000s. There is a way using content that you can make people comfortable enough with your brand and with your guidance and with your level of experience and expertise to never have to speak to another customer again. You can add buy now buttons to your website if you've got the right content and the right strategy, and people will just give you money without you needing to speak to them. And that's exactly what happens with our business. And a lot of people don't think that that's possible. They think if it gets past a certain point, we're going to need to speak to them. There's going to be an onboarding call, then we're going to have to invoice them. So when you go down this road, you're constantly going to see the benefits. And you're going to see the benefits, not just, oh, I'm attracting better clients, but I'm actually improving my sales process. I'm dealing with more people. I'm cutting out a lot of the junk that I don't actually need to do, like these sales calls, and then invoicing them and then sending them a follow-up reminder because they've not paid their invoice. So you can do so much when you really, really think about delivering excellent content that helps people understand what you offer. So again, we're not talking about algorithms. We're talking about improving your clients and your processes so much to the point that it completely transforms your business.
Yeah. And I think the biggest and most profound things in life and business are the simplest. And so sometimes when I talk to someone like you and I think, this is so simple, am I stupid? How come I not, did I not get this before? I think what I'm hearing, even frequently asked questions, we all know, we use frequently asked questions to write posts and do that stuff. But then again, that's the sales process. I don't have frequently asked questions for after you sign on and we're working with you, but they're the same questions. How many times am I going to answer them that I wouldn't write this out for you or do a video or a reminder? I just realized it's almost like I'm running around town. I'm in high school. I'm trying to get a date. And then once you get the date, you don't pursue the relationship. You just, oh, great. They said, yes, I'm not even going to knock on the door. We're not going out to dinner. We're like, that's it. I'm not crossing that threshold. And you're right. All we've been hammered into our head is about content, SEO stuff. Make sure you get out there, social media, blah, 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 blah. Right. But how can we have customer retention? How can we take, especially me, when I'm about systems, take work off my desk by saying, yes, we're just going to feed this content to you when you're onboarding with us, so that I don't have to repeat myself and waste your time answering the same questions. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You are as wise as you are British. Okay. All right. Oh my heavens, time flew by. Okay, Martin, where can people find more of your brilliance?
So my agency is jammydigital.com. I run that business with my wife. That's where we talk about content and have packages for people and stuff like that people can literally hire us to do their content for them. So it's pretty simple, really. It made sense. We talk about this stuff every day. We may as well do it for people.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. You are a treat. Thank you so much for your wisdom. You certainly are a game changer for me. Everybody else, listen to the show twice, take notes, do what you got to do. And we will see you in the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.